I'm Philippa and I'd like to welcome you to Yoga for Vata Dosha. So as you may know, the Vata Dosha is dry, mobile and light. So the yoga that one would practice to either alleviate a Vata disorder or calm someone with a very high Vata Dosha would be gentle and calming and grounding and quite still. So it's a very gentle yoga practice. And the main seat of Vata is in the colon, and the colon is called Apanavayu, so that's the pelvic area. So this is our main sub-dosha. And often if there is a disorder, it will manifest in this area. There are other areas of the body, obviously, and it would be accompanied by pain, and that's when one's quite certain when you're diagnosing as an Ayurvedic consultant that it's a Vata is involved in the disorder. So the disorders one would be likely to get with a Vata disorder might be constipation or sciatica. There's also menstrual disorders, but there's other things such as anxiety and insomnia, because that would be when we aren't grounded enough and things are starting to escalate upwards and move upwards. So the other thing about Vata is that it's quite brittle and it's prone to excessive movement. So again, we're going to be still and calm. We're not going to be rushing. It's really focusing on the deep breathing, having a gentle warm up, having a very long Shavasana at the end of your practice. And this will all keep your Vata dosha in balance, in homeostasis. So they're going to be seated postures to ground you, and they'll be also moving the spine though, because Vata can build up in the spine. So we don't want that build up to happen. So you'll move the spine forwards and backwards and do twists as well. So we're going to start seated, and I'd like us to open our practice chanting 3 Oms. And I'm sitting in Siddhasana, quite a classic posture, using a brick underneath me. This is a yoga block. And if you had this or something similar that you could use, that might help, as it will keep the hips above the knees. What you don't want is your knees to be very high above the hips. So sitting in either Siddhasana as I'm doing, or coming into Swastikasana. So in Swastikasana, the feet come underneath the backs of the thighs. And we'll just start with the wrists on the knees, palms up. And you can lightly touch the index finger and thumb together in Jhana Mudra. And then looking straight ahead, stilling the eyeballs, and then closing the eyes. Bringing the palms together. Right palm presses equally into the left palm, lifting from the root of the spine. Beginning to deepen the breath. So a deep, slow breath, breathing into the area between the rib cage and the lower abdomen, evening out and lengthening out your inhalation to match the exhalation. And you're welcome to join me chanting 3 Oms. So inhale. And then coiling the chin towards the chest, lifting the chest slightly, bringing the mind and the heart closer together. Release the hands and place them on the thighs, drawing back in the elbows. And opening the eyes, soft wide gaze, and then lifting the chin. So removing the blocks out from underneath you. And I've got a few props today that you may or may not need. So I've got a block, cork block. I've got a belt, which could be just a regular belt or a scarf if you don't have a yoga belt. I've got a yoga block, a softer block, a larger one. That could be a folded up blanket or a book. And I've also got a blanket that I could use, and I'll show you certain asanas we might need to use them, and a yoga bolster. So that could be cushions or something if you don't have a bolster. So we're going to start in Tadasana, standing at the front of our mats, lifting up and replacing the toes, drawing up in the front of the thighs, drawing down in the backs of the thighs, roll the shoulders back and down, and slightly rotate outwards in the arms, lengthening the fingertips to the floor. And then take your drishti point ahead of you. So your drishti point is where your gaze rests. It's a steady, soft gaze. Eyeballs still, and that steadiness of the gaze is going to help this quietening and calming of the mind. And we're going to be doing a Surya Namaskar, sun salutation from the Shivananda tradition. So this is a very classic sun salutation, very suitable for Vata dosha. So breathing in and out through the nose, inhale, exhale, press the palms together in front of the chest. And then inhale, lengthening in the waist, pushing the hips forward to make a gentle back bend, looking up to the sky. You can also put your head in the hands if that feels more supportive for your back. Exhale, lead with the chest, coming forwards, bending the knees if you need to into your forward bend Uttanasana. And then inhale, step back with the right leg, a long lunge, letting the knee rest lightly on the floor, sinking down into the groin and taking your drishti point diagonally up the ceiling. And then pressing the palms down, spreading across the backs of your shoulders, coming into a plank. So this is a moment of retention before you exhale, and knees, chest, chin to the floor. Thumbs press down into the mat, and then inhale, cobra, taking the gaze ahead. Exhale, lift the hips, draw back into downward dog, lengthen the heels to the floor. Inhale, rise up onto the balls of the feet, step in with the right foot. If it hasn't come between your hands, push it forward just so the heel is down and you're back in a long lunge. Gaze goes diagonally up the ceiling ahead of you. Exhale and fold, forward bend. And then biceps by the ears as you come up, straightening the legs as you go. Again, the head can be in the hands or arms straight. Push the hips forward and come to Tadasana. Inhale, exhale, prayer position. Inhale. So you can stop and start the video if you don't know this particular sun salutation. It's not dissimilar to ones you might find in Vinyasa flow, but it's, as I say, it's from the Shivananda tradition. Left leg leads. Inhale. You try to hold the breath and then start to exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale, left leg in. Exhale, forward fold. Arms by the ears. Inhale. Hips push forwards. Exhale. So we're going to start to link the sides. We're going to do it 4 more times, right and then left. Inhale, exhale, prayer position. Inhale, long waist, soft shoulders. Don't throw the head all the way back. And you don't even need to do a back bend there if doing a back bend is difficult, if you've got any issues in your lower back. And we're going to be doing asanas during the session that will look at backache and sciatica, so it may help to relieve any problems. Exhale, inhale. Exhale. Inhale. So as a rule of thumb, you inhale on a back bend, exhale, forward bend, inhale. So we're going to link the sides. So from this back bend, exhale all the way down to the floor. Inhale, left leg back. So don't worry if you're not getting the breath just yet. Hold the breath, exhale, just try to breathe in and out through the nose. Inhale, and as you get used to the sequence, you'll find you can synchronize your breathing. Exhale. Inhale, left leg steps in. Exhale, forward fold. Keeping it soft, keeping a sense that you're moving through water almost. And our last round. Exhale to the floor. Inhale, right leg. Hold the breath. Press the roots of the thumbs and index finger into the mat. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale, right leg. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale. This is our last time, left side. Exhale. Inhale, left. Hold the breath. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. And then stepping in with the left leg. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, sweeping up. Gentle back bend. Exhale, finding Tadasana, finding your drishti point, your focal point. Recalibrating the breath if it's become disturbed. So we're going to move on into Uttanasana, forward fold, with the feet hip width apart. So opening the feet out, lifting up the toes, spreading them out, and then replacing them on the mat. Then placing your hands on the hips to feel contact with your fingertips and the outer edges of your abdominal muscles. Inhale, lengthen in the abdomen, lift the chest. Exhale, fold forward, leading with the heart. And just trying to keep a bit of space between your hip here and the front of the thigh. And then clasping the elbows below the head. You can tuck the thumbs into the crooks of the elbows, getting the weight forwards into the balls of the feet, just hanging here. Or also bending and straightening the knees is a helpful way to release the lower back and the hamstring. So you inhale, bend, exhale, straighten. And then you can change the cross of the elbows. Tuck the thumbs into the crooks of the elbows, and again either hang with straight legs or inhale, bend, exhale, straighten. If you want to add on, we're going to do Padangusthasana. Padangusthasana, you make the middle finger and index finger hook onto the big toes, and you press the big toes down into them, and then inhale, lift to straight arms, flat back, straight legs. Exhale, bend the elbows out to the side. You can use a belt or scarf underneath the balls of the feet. So if you'd like to try this but you don't yet have a straight leg Uttanasana, put your belt underneath the balls of the feet. Inhale, lift to straight arms, flat back. Exhale, bend the elbows out to the side and draw yourself down so that you can work with straight legs, and that will access the spine. And as you remember, as I was saying, we need to be releasing any build-up of Vata in the spine. And just try and soften in the forehead, let the head hang down. Maybe drawing the elbows back a little bit if you're coming down low. Breathing into the sides of the body. And then we'll inhale, lift to straight arms, flat back. Exhale, place the hands on the hips. And then inhale, lift all the way up. Replacing the feet together and finding Tadasana. So we're going to take a Surya Namaskar to the floor. Inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale, inhale. So lovely, soft, gentle, flowing movements. Don't rush, staying calm, lengthening out the breath to match the movement. Exhale, draw back. And then we're going to wave ourselves forward into a plank and lower down slowly, maybe suspend for a moment before lying down onto your tummy. Big toes touching, arms alongside the body, palms facing upwards, left cheek on the mat. And just pause for a moment here. And then bringing the head to centre, coming into Bhujangasana, the cobra. So drawing the hands back, fingertips in line with the chest. And then you can spread out the feet a little bit, but notice the tendency for the big toes, the legs to roll inwards onto the big toe side of the foot. So you want to have the weight even on the front of the legs, front of the feet. So try and work the outer side of the legs and the little toe side of the feet down to the ground as well. And then really energise the legs. So maybe you'll find the knees come off the mat. And we'll start with a rolling cobra, so 3 times, pressing the pubic bone into the mat. Inhale, lift up. Exhale, lower down. And the cobra is a wonderful posture to help alleviate symptoms of insomnia. So it's a great one to do before you go to bed if you do have insomnia, which is quite a typical Vata disorder. And inhale, exhale. So we're going to go up again and hold for 3 counts. So you inhale, come up, push the heels of the hands into the mat, keep gently pressing the pubic bone into the floor, looking straight ahead, breathe. So a lot of work in the arms here. And then exhale and lower. And we'll put the right cheek on the mat, arms alongside you, palms up. You can let the big toes touch and the heels roll out to the sides for a moment. And now coming to Dhanurasana, the bow posture. So Dhanurasana is quite a difficult posture, but it's one that is really beneficial to prescribe to people who suffer from rheumatoid arthritis. You want to get round to both feet, lifting the chest. You can hold the toes if you can't quite reach the feet, pressing the pubic bone into the mat. So this may be sufficient for some people, or if you want to take it further, inhale, lift the legs, lift the gaze. You can look up through the eyebrows and keep pushing the feet into the hands. So you're really stretching through the front of the body. Breathing deeply, breathing down into the belly where it makes contact with the floor. So working in the Apana Vayu area. And then exhale and lower. And now left cheek on the mat, arms alongside you, palms up, shut the eyes. And coming back to centre, pushing up and back. And we'll come to seated. So this is where we might need a few props. We're going to do Virasana, the hero pose. So useful props. So yoga block would be handy, putting that between your heels. So it's quite important, if I show you this way, it's quite important that your feet go directly behind you. And your feet are going to be on the outside of your hips when you come down. And I'm pressing my ankles into the block slightly, the outer ankles pushing in, thighs touching, tuck the tailbone under and then sitting down onto the block. And you can use more blocks than just one. So if you wanted to, you could have 2 or 3 blocks here. So really working into the pelvic region here. This posture alleviates sciatica, it works on the back. Also dry asthma, if we take it back now. So this is optional and you may want to put props behind you. Like for example, the bolster could go, or something similar to a bolster could go behind you. And you pop it here and then pick up and replace the pelvis. So you keep tucking under in your pelvis as you go down into a more supported version of Virasana. You don't have to go back at all, but if you wanted to go back, you could use the bolster. Or going all the way back. So I'm picking up and replacing my pelvis, then coming onto the elbows, pick up and replace again, come all the way down. I need to make sure my knees are together and that I'm working the little toe side of the foot into the mat. And then reaching up and clasping opposite elbows, breathing deeply. So you can see how this could really benefit the Vata type of dry asthma opening up the breath into the lungs, and also sciatica, releasing any pinching in the nerves in the back. And also, interestingly, apparently, it can alleviate wrinkles, so it's one that's worth doing. And breathe. And then if you're lying down, changing the cross of the arms. Taking a few more breaths here. Before we push up, put the hands on the feet, tuck the chin in, coming up, and then slowly releasing the legs. So you don't want to be jumping up and out of that position. And then squeezing the legs. This is a really nice Vata releasing self-massage, because Vata is also the dosha that dominates the circulatory system, and this squeeze and release, letting the blood come back into the legs. And now coming down to lying out flat, and then we'll go into bridge. So here you might need one of these props or similar if you want to do a more restorative bridge, or we can do a more active one. So we're going to have the feet flat, reach out with the arms. You can work the tummy muscles a little bit here by tucking the chin in and rolling down through the spine, not speeding up, till you're lying out flat. Drawing the heels in towards the buttocks. Just make sure you can skim the heels with your fingertips or even the outer elbows. We're going to do a rolling bridge. Bridge is really wonderful for menstrual disorders, to help soothe menstrual disorders. So the rolling bridge, you peel the spine off the mat, push through the feet, push the chest towards the chin, and then exhale, descend down the spine one vertebra at a time, tuck the tailbone under and touch down. And again, inhale, peel the spine off the mat, push through the feet, push the chest towards the chin. Exhale, descend down the spine, tuck the tailbone under and touch down. One last time. Inhale, just keep the feet soft. Keep the breath smooth and slow and even. You can shut the eyes if you want to, work more with the inner body and the feeling body. Or if your eyes are open, finding that drishti point, the single point to focus on. And then interlock the fingers underneath you. We're going to hold. So either you'll come here freestanding, pushing through the feet, or a more restorative bridge, if I get my block, that you might want to try, is that you push up, come up onto the balls of the feet, and then pop the block sideways between the two sacroiliac bones. So they're the two knobbly bones on your back. And then you don't just hang out over the block here, you tuck the tailbone under, extend out the arms, and you can hold in a restorative bridge if you prefer. And again, shut the eyes if you would like to. And make sure, whichever version you're doing, that your knees aren't swinging out to the side. You're slightly rotating inwards with your thighs. And then we're going to release out of whichever version we were in, descending through the spine one vertebra at a time, tuck the tailbone under, and touch down onto the floor. And then sliding the legs out along the mat, we'll come into Padamuktasana. So this is a very good posture to alleviate constipation, works on the colon area. So we're first going to work on the ascending colon. So you inhale, draw the right knee in, clasp your hands around the shin, flex the right foot to support the knee. And if you want to, if you don't have any neck problems, you could also exhale, bring your nose to the knee. Inhale, lie down, squeeze the thigh into the chest. And then release the legs, slide it out. Left side. Inhale, draw the left knee in. You can change the cross of your grip. Exhale, nose to knee if that's comfortable in your neck. And then inhale, lie down, squeeze the thigh into the chest and release. And now both legs together for the full Padamuktasana. Inhale, both legs come in, clasp the shins, squeeze the thighs into the outside of the rib cage, And then if you want to as well, exhale, nose comes between your knees, and you'll keep breathing to lengthen your lower back down to the mat. And then inhale and lie down. And we're going to roll onto the right sides, curl up and sit up. And from seated, we're going to come into Dandasana for a moment. So hands beside the hip, lifting up tall, looking down to your toes. So we're going to move on to some grounding postures to keep our Apana Vayu descending. So drawing the right heel in, don't let the buttock go backwards. You want to keep the hips level and then drop the knee out to the side, bringing the sole of the foot into the inner thigh. Now it might be that your foot comes a little bit further forward, and it might also feel that you need to use props here. So what you can do is take a block or something of similar size, and you're going to sit on that block, and you sit on the front of it so that you're releasing out of the pelvis. And then you can also use a belt if you need to. If you can't reach your foot with straight leg, you can hold on to a belt. So this is a modification. You might also feel that you want a second prop, so don't have one nearby, and that goes under your knee. So do choose and use props. They can prompt the body. They're very, very helpful. And they'll prevent injury. So from your Janushirasana base, quite difficult to say, it means head to knee pose. We're going to first of all put the fingertips either side of the knee or hold onto your belt, and then shift a little bit left. So we're going directly over our left leg that's extended, and then start to creep forwards into the forward fold, and feel that you're lengthening your calf out away from you and then drawing the thigh up into the hip. If you get down to your foot, you can hold on to your foot, bringing the elbows out to the side, bringing the chin down or the nose down to the shin. Or if you're getting further than the foot, you can extend the arms out, palms facing away, and then hold your left wrist with your right hand, elbows, palms facing away, elbows going out wide. And then bringing your head down to your knee or maybe beyond the knee to the shin. And levelling off the shoulders wherever you are. Breathing deeply into the lower back. Lengthening and releasing into your posture with each exhalation. So we use the parasympathetic nervous system to relax and stretch. We're going with the breath. And then inhale, lift up. Exhale, hands by the hips, lift the knee, slide the leg out. And now drawing the left leg in, the knee drops out to the side, sole of the foot into the thigh. Again, with whatever props that you feel that you need. Shift over a little bit to the right and then start to come down. Creeping forwards, keeping the legs straight, maybe holding the wrist or holding your belt. And again, exhale. This is when the muscles want to relax. This is the relaxing part of the breath. And this is when you can encourage any stretching. And then inhale, lift as straight arms, flat back. And exhale, release. So now coming into Paschimottanasana. That's the straight leg forward fold, 2 straight legs. Inhale, we're going to reach up now, lengthen in the waist. Exhale, reach beyond the toes. Hold on to the outer edges of the feet. Inhale, lift to straight arms, flat back, obviously using your belt if you have one and you need that. Exhale and lengthen. So here you may find, if you're quite high up in the posture and using a belt, that you really need to be directing your breath here into the lower back, and that's the first place, and releasing here will help you to come forward. If you're getting a little bit further down, maybe there's a more breathing going on in the sides of the body that you will find will help you access the spine and find space in the torso. And finally, if you're coming down quite low, then really you're trying to work for a flatter back and you're breathing between your shoulder blades. So choosing where to descend the breath. And if you're more experienced in your yoga practice, you will find that it is possible to direct the breath into any particular part of the body. And holding for a reasonable length of time to take the benefits of the posture. So we'll hold for about a minute. And you may even get a sense that you rise up as you inhale and then exhale, lengthen, a bit sort of like an inchworm inching along the legs. And then inhale, lift to straight arms, flat back. Exhale, place the hands by the hips and come back into Dandasana. So we're going to move on now to a really crucial core yoga posture, but it isn't one that's necessarily for everyone, but it is really wonderful for Vata doshas. So it's the headstand, Shishasana. I'm just going to move my mat back a bit. So in Shishasana, we're inverting and resting on the Adipati point on the head. And this is a Marm point that's incredibly calming. It reduces ADHD, anxiety, insomnia, and it connects directly into the hypothalamus. I'm going to do a preparatory exercise. If you have a yoga practice with Shishasana, please go ahead either in the centre of the room or use a wall, but please be careful. And if you have high blood pressure or glaucoma, you shouldn't be practicing this. And if you're on your menstrual cycle, it's advisable not to do inversions because, again, the menstrual flow is controlled by Apana, so we want that to be working downwards, which is why they say don't do yoga on your menstrual cycle. If it's maybe right at the beginning or near the end of the cycle perhaps, but in the central part of the cycle you want to make sure that you're working the Apana downwards. But this preparation doesn't put you fully up into the headstand. I will show you a headstand after we've done this. And it's all just about being aware of the body physics. So you're putting the forearms on the mat and then touching your shoulders with your fingertips to make sure that your upper arms and your forearms are parallel. Then you could also just double check as well and clasp around your elbows to make sure they're only shoulder width. And then you interlock your fingers right up to the web, but don't really tense the fingers, so you don't want to have a white knuckle ride here. And then rest the sides of the hands onto the mat and come up and place the head in the hands. So I'm pressing my wrists into the mat, rolling the forearms slightly inwards. The centre part of the forearms take most of the pressure. The top of my head is on the floor, my Adipati point. This is the fontanelle that's soft in the baby. And you want to have a feeling that your ears are vertical. And then straightening the legs. So we're just making this capital A shape. And then if you shrug the shoulders round the ears, that's where you don't want your shoulders to be. So you lift them up away from the ears. And we'll just do a little exercise here of lifting the head off the floor. So although you do have weight on the top of the head in the headstand, you want to feel that maybe it could even just lift off the floor. So the supporting forearms are incredibly important. Wrap the shoulders away from the ears. And then if I were coming into a headstand, I'll just demonstrate that you don't need to do this today. If you've never done one before, it would be better to do a live class and get a teacher to teach you a headstand in the live class before trying one at home. And then coming down. So you're welcome to have been up using the wall while I was doing that preparation. And then we'll come down into Balasana and rest. So very important that you come back into Balasana afterwards. Let the blood flow out of the head so you don't get giddy. And then rolling up, leaving the head till last. And sitting back on the heels. And now we're going to come into shoulder stand. So again, if you're not doing shoulder stand because you're on your menstrual cycle, you have two options here. You can take a block or similar and come into the centre of the room and do Viparita Karani here. So I would put the block under my sacrum and raise the legs up and be here in Viparita Karani. And you can have the palms facing upwards. So it's a very beneficial posture to alleviate constipation or varicose veins, and you get the benefit, the inversion benefits that you also get in Sarvangasana, the shoulder stand. You can also put your legs up the wall, so you don't need to do the full shoulder stand today if you're not ready to do that, or if you've got any severe injury in your neck, you shouldn't do that at all. Now if you're okay to do the shoulder stand with me, feet flat, arms alongside you, palms down. I'm going to exhale and go straight up into Sarvangasana. So placing the hands on the back, thumbs around the waist, and then maybe little by little working the hands up towards the shoulder blades, picking yourself up off the mat, pressing the upper arms down into the mat. Shut the eyes, deep breathing. So similar to Viparita Karani, wonderfully beneficial to alleviate varicose veins and also constipation, but also we're getting this chin lock here and working on massaging the thyroid gland, so it also regulates the metabolism. And then from your shoulder stand, slowly lowering down towards the floor behind the head into Halasana. So if your feet don't touch the floor, you can put the knees onto your forehead and let the heels come close to the buttocks. Halasana can alleviate sciatica, because it opens out the spine when maybe you've got a trapped nerve that's causing sciatica. But it is a process, so you have to be very slow and cautious about opening up that lower back if you do have sciatica. Another nice thing to do here is sort of just swim the legs to release the back and the sacrum. So you can take one of those two options, or you can come into full Halasana, walking the feet out away from you, feet together, either toes pointed, lifting the thighs, or feet flexed. I prefer feet flexed. And then interlock the fingers behind you and try to straighten the arms and try to get the little fingers down to the mat. And once more, we're pressing the upper arms into the floor, lifting the thighs away from the body. Breathe deeply. And if you want to shut the eyes, again working more inwardly, slowing down the bodily systems. And then opening the eyes, unclasp the hands, palms down. Guide your way down, either hands on the mat or hands on the back. Bend the knees and place the feet flat on the mat. So now counterposing with Matsyasana, which often is called the destroyer of disease. So Matsyasana means fish posture. You sit on the wrists, arms straight, palms facing downwards and legs straight. Now we're going to inhale, lift the chest, open the throat and take the head back, seeking out that adipati point on the top of the head. So the calming point that works directly on the hypothalamus. Breathing deeply, opening the lungs. So this is really wonderful to alleviate dry, Vata-based asthma. And then slowly sliding down onto your backs. Feet flat, remove your hands. And once more, Padamuktasana. Exhale, squeeze the thighs in towards the chest. And now Parivrita Padamuktasana. So if you have space, arms out straight alongside you, or you can bend at the elbows. And then exhale, lower the legs down to the right. Right leg rests down, left leg rests on top. Turn your head away from the bent knees and breathe. And you can, if you want, place your right hand on the left thigh and just open out the sacrum a little bit more. And then changing sides, coming down to the left. I'll just move my block. Turn your head to the right, maybe left hand on the right thigh. Deep breathing. And then inhale onto your backs and continue to roll to the right, curl up and sit up. So this is where you may want to prop again. We're going to finish the practice looking at Padmasana. So it's an incredibly beneficial posture for Vata constitutions, but you do have to be very respectful of your knees and your joints. So we're going to look at different variations that can support you. So this is an incredibly grounding posture, but you might want to start using your block to help you lift from the root of the spine, and just finding first of all Swastikasana. So Swastikasana is your preparation for Padmasana. Just get my block even. So in Swastikasana, I'm drawing my knees in slightly towards each other and my feet are underneath the root of the thighs rather than coming right up into the hips. Wrists on the knees and just sitting up tall and with a little bit of pressure, so the shin pushes forward into the calf comes back into the shin. And then changing sides, and you can try and do this without using your hands, which is a great preparation for doing free or Padmasana without hands. So you sort of get intelligence into your feet as you bring them underneath the thighs, again pressing the shin forward and the calf back and sitting up tall. Maybe shut the eyes. So you may want to stay in your Swastikasana. You may want to remove the block now and try Ardha Padmasana. So in Ardha Padmasana I'm going to mirror you and bring the right heel in towards the groins and then the left leg, getting hold of the foot and the knee separately, and then think I'm moving from the centre of the back as I wrap the knee down, draw my left heel in towards the navel and then lengthen the knee to the floor. So if you have any pain in the knee, come out again and come back to Swastikasana. You shouldn't be performing this with any pain in the knee. But if you have got into the position, just sitting and trying to get the knee levelling out and down. And then releasing, extending out the legs, and we'll try the other side. So you may find one side is actually fine, but the other side is problematic because of the knee. And you could also have one leg extended if having both knees bent is difficult. So on the other side, I'm going to draw my left heel into the groins and then bring the right leg over. And again, taking a bit of time. Sometimes it's nice to do it twice just to ease into the joint. And feeling the action start from the buttock rather than be dominant in the knee. And then coming to whichever position you preferred. So it might be Swastikasana, Ardha Padmasana or full Padmasana. So in full Padmasana, you generally, and because I'm mirroring you, it looked like my left leg, but you generally bring your right heel in first and then your left leg. So this is an option. In most yoga practices, you should also do the other side because you want to make sure that you're not getting an imbalance. And then we're going to go forwards into Yoga Mudra, which is really beneficial for Vata constitutions. It works the colon area, it's good for backache, sciatica, and insomnia and anxiety. So inhale, lift the chest, I'm holding my elbows. Exhale, folding forwards. You don't have to go all the way down to the ground. And then inhale, come up. So then changing the cross of the elbows, cross of the legs, just so we work evenly on both sides. This is definitely my less happy side as far as Padmasana goes. And then trying to remember which was the cross of the elbows. Usually you do the most automatic, comfortable one first. So the one that feels a little bit different would be the one that you haven't done. And then inhale, lift, exhale, fold forwards. Breathe deeply. And inhale, coming up. exhale, release. And we'll release our legs. We've got one final posture using either swastikasana or padmasana. Actually here we could do our Vata massage, the squeeze release. So squeeze and release, encouraging the circulation again. And a posture such as padmasana, what you've done is you squeeze the blood and the fluids out of the lower part of the body. There's much more blood going up into the upper part of the body. So this is why it's often used for pranayama and meditation, because it's really harnessing our prana and our energy in the upper part of the body. But it's also grounding, so you get this connection between the two, the apana and prana, which is really important. So they balance each other. So you're not just all in prana and spiraling out, or you're just not all grounded into apana. So we're going to come into either a choice of cross-leg position. So you can do Padmasana, Ardha Padmasana or Swastikasana. Or if you don't want to do any of those now, you can come into a kneeling posture. And you could actually do this lift in the kneeling posture as well. So it's a lift that again alleviates anxiety in Vata constitution. So I'm putting my hands down either side of the legs, lifting the knees. I'll show you how to do this from kneeling afterwards. And then we lift all the way up in our Padmasana or our cross leg. So you may find that if you're cross-legged, I'll just show you, that your toes stay on the floor and you inhale, lift. You're still working strongly into this core area. And if I was kneeling, I'm coming forwards, fingertips below the lines of the knees, spreading out across the backs of the shoulders and lifting the knees. So you can modify according to what's happening in your knees, etc. So then we're going to come down for quite a long Shavasana as we're working with the Vata dosha. So as I said at the beginning, the Vata dosha practice needs to be not rushed, calming, a long warm-up and a very long Shavasana. So coming down onto your backs. And you might find it helpful, it's a really, really nice way to do your final Shavasana if you take a bolster and you put it underneath the backs of the knees. So we're settling the apana vayu, the sacral area, into the mat, into the floor. Toes flopping out to the side, extend out the arms, chin tucking in, back of the neck long. And just beginning to center your attention onto your breathing. So you're no longer working the breath consciously now. You're just breathing in and out through the nose as the normal reflex action that it usually is. You might want to start by focusing upon the sound that your breath is making as you inhale and exhale. Hearing a slight difference between the sound of the inhalation compared to the exhalation, and letting your attention rest here. And little by little trying to withdraw your attention deeper within, allowing the eyes to drop back from behind the eyelids into the base of the skull. Maybe letting the attention drop deeper down to the heart, exploring the spaces around your heart. And then finally allowing your inner gaze to descend down to below the abdomen. Noticing how the breath expands the circumference of your inner body. And if you find your mind's become distracted and thoughts have entered and you're away on a train of thoughts, once you notice that that's happened, there's no judgment. It's just kind compassion as you guide your attention back towards your breathing. And then starting to allow your attention to descend down the legs towards your toes. Stretching out the feet and drawing the heels up in towards the buttocks one at a time. And just pausing there for a moment, noticing how soft your feet feel as they make contact with the floor and the weight even under the four corners of each foot. And then bringing your attention now to your hands and stretching out your fingers. Bending at your elbows, folding the hands up onto the torso, right hand on your belly, left hand on your heart. Just pausing here for a moment. Maybe noticing the gentle movement of your belly underneath your right hand. Maybe noticing the heartbeat under your left hand. And now rolling onto your right sides, curling up, make a pillow for your cheek with your right hand. And in your own time, if you'd like to push up and sit up to a comfortable seated posture using props if you want to. And joining me sealing our practice today, exploring the Vata dosha by chanting 1 Om and 3 Shantis together. Inhale. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Peace, peace, peace. And bowing down towards the floor, bringing the thumbs to the third eye, acknowledging the teacher that is within you. Namaste. Namaste. Thank you very much. Thank you for watching this video about yoga for Vata dosha. Look forward to seeing you, or I hope you can access the next video in the series, which will be yoga for Pitta dosha. Thanks a lot. Bye. Namaste.